Hello dear students. Yes, this video is about legislative drafting, which is a part of one of your papers. This video introduces the subject and covers the topic of definition of legislation and object. Since I felt that most of you might not be having the books on the subject at the moment because of the lockdown, so I thought that sharing the information on slides through some videos may help. Before starting with the lectures on legislative drafting, I really hope that you all are aware that the legislative department offers internship to the students, particularly to the law students as well. So let's begin with legislative drafting. So before starting with the legislative drafting as such, let's first try to understand what this term legislation means. The term legislation comes from a Latin word legislatio, which means bringing of a law. Legis means generally of law, lex, and latio means bringing of. So together it is bringing of a law. So we can say legislation means the action of making or giving laws. We know that from earlier times, the acts of making or giving laws were being discharged. Like if we have read history or Hindu law properly, if we remember, so we know about Yagyavalk, we also know about Hammurabi, the commandments, the Babylonian codes, etc., etc. So of course, this making or giving laws was taking place in earlier times as well, but the terms legislator we find featuring in 1605 and legislation and legislature in 1655. Now in England, after the Great Charter that was granted by King John in 1215, which we popularly know as Magna Carta, we begin to meet the word parliament. But parliament at that time means simply a parley, that is between groups of people or their representatives for some sort of special or formal gathering about the king. So it was an occasion rather than a body or institution as we conceive it in modern times. Parliament in Middle Ages was actually to do justice and hear from the king's subjects as well as to promulgate a law. Thus, legislation in the Middle Ages was an obligation of political and administrative common sense rather than of constitutional law as in the 19th century. Now, Parliament had gradually been taking its shape in the 17th century, and since then it had been admitted that acts of Parliament could override the natural law and must be enforced by the judges, whatever their contents may be. So gradually, legislation became a distinct function of the parliament in the 19th century, and we also note the disappearance of ordinary judicial business from parliament. So from later half of the 18th century and in the 19th century, there was a strong movement for legislation. Accordingly, about the middle of the 18th century, a movement for legislation was set in motion. Now, the first one was Code of Frederick the Great of Prussia in 1794. Now, it actually contained elements of paternalistic legal philosophy. Then we find the highest achievement of the movements for legislation in the form of Code of Napoleon in 1804. And then, of course, there were another milestone in 1811 by Code of Austria. then German Civil Code of 1896, then Swiss Code of 1907, and many others also which followed the lead. Now, in this way, in the 20th century, legislation became a deliberate creation of legal precepts in a formalized legal document by an organ of government which is set up for this purpose. Now, this organ is known as legislature from 1655 as a body of persons invested with the power of making the laws of a country or state. So now we must understand that in today's times, legislation means the art of lawmaking. Now, in its strict sense, legislation is an enactment of law by a competent authority. But it also means and includes lawmaking by a defined person or body in pursuance of a parent law. And we know it as subordinate legislation or executive lawmaking. So let's see as to how it has been defined by the various jurists. Of course, the term legislation has been defined by many jurists, but here I have brought only few of the definitions which have been given by the renowned jurists. And of course, these definitions actually will clarify for us as to what are the basic aspects of a legislation. So according to Professor Dias, legislation may be described as law made deliberately in a set form by an authority which the courts have accepted as competent to exercise that function. So here Professor Dias has actually emphasized that laws are made deliberately and they are in a set form which are actually made by the authority, and the courts have also accepted this authority which is competent to exercise this function. Clear? Then we find that Professor Gray defines legislation as the formal utterances of the legislative organs of the society. Now, maybe he preferred the expressions formal utterances and legislative organs to differentiate between legislation and other sources of law. Okay. Then we find Salmon actually says that legislation is that source of law which consists in the declaration of legal rules by a competent authority. And according to him, it includes every expression of the will of the legislature, whether directed to the making of rules or not. Now, moving further, we find that William C. Burton actually defined legislation as that legislation is the formulation of rules for the future through a legislative process. However, Dicey looked upon legislation as movement based on the characteristics of human nature. Then we find Bentham, who is actually sometimes called a prophet, who forced the adoption of scientific method of legislation. I hope that you all are aware of the book of his Principles of Legislation and Pain and Pleasure. So there are quite a number of books written by Bentham on legislation and which are very useful, and they actually enlighten the reader as to how the legislation should be framed and what are the challenges that are to be overcome by the legislator. So now coming back to the definition given by Bentham. According to Bentham, legislation is an art as well as a science. Now he says that legislation is influenced by opinions, ideas and principles that prevail in the community at any particular time. Now, these principles, according to him, may be political, social, economic, or even religious. And so, he propagates that to know the true good of the community is what constitutes the science of legislation. I repeat, to know the true good of the community is what constitutes the science of legislation, and the art consists in finding the means to realize that good. Okay, so here he actually has clarified as to what he means when he says that legislation is an art as well as a science. So after seeing the definitions given by the various jurists, I hope it is very clear to us that these people actually have defined legislation in two senses. That is, in wider sense and then in a restrictive sense. In the wider sense, legislation actually includes judge-made laws, particular rules of law, and the rights created by law between parties to a contract. Now, all these three can be said to fall in the category of indirect. They are indirect legislations, right? And then, in restrictive sense, legislation actually means enactment of a law by the competent authority which is accepted and applied in the courts of law while administering justice. Now, this is what we call direct. So, legislation, while we read about legislative drafting, this is the legislation that we actually are talking about in the restrictive sense. An enactment of a law by the competent authority which is accepted and applied in the courts of law while administering justice. Okay? So, I hope that this particular aspect is very clear to all of you. Now we move on further. So after seeing the definitions given by the various renowned jurists of their times, we come to the last part of this lecture. To recapitulate and to deduce the object of legislation from it, we already know that the term legislation is generally used in two senses. In one sense, the expression is used to denote the enactment of law or the process of deliberate lawmaking or law changing. However, in the second sense, the expression legislation is used to denote results of the legislative process. Thus, we can say that the ministerial and departmental circulars which advise local authorities and other bodies as to how to exercise their powers, though they do not assume a legislative form, but nonetheless, they are regarded as binding to both the parties and force of law. We know that. Now, coming again to today's time as to in which sense we actually see the legislation or the legislative process, we can see the decisive criteria for identifying legislation as a process and laws as the result of the process is increasingly the criteria of the identity of the enacting agency. Now, in a curious reversal of roles, instead of legislation being explained as the activity which aims at the enactment of laws, we tend today to hold those rules which are arrived at by the process of legislation. So now we know very clearly that legislation in its strict sense means the making of rules and laws to be followed and enforced in the courts of the state, and they are to be made by a competent lawmaking body under the constitution of the state. As I told you earlier, that since 19th century, Almost all the states have constitution in place, and therefore we also know that the constitution generally entrusts a particular body with the power of lawmaking, right? So thus legislation is laying down of legal rules by a sovereign or subordinate legislator. You already are aware of these two terms since you already have read in the subject jurisprudence in your second year. Of course, we would be dealing with it brief in my other videos. And coming to the wider sense of the term, it means and includes judge-made laws, custom, conventions, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So it can be said that legislation is the document which signifies the policies of the government in power, and once assented to by the head of the state becomes law of the land till it is modified, changed or repealed. So we can very well deduce the objects, and they are to give effect to the policies of the government, to either create rights and duties recognized by law or to change the existing rights and duties, and also to incur the expenditure through annual financial budget bill, which we know as budget, right? Annual financial bill, or for levying taxes. So I really hope that this video will help you in the understanding of the term legislation and what to expect when we look more into the aspect of its drafting, that is legislative drafting. Thank you for listening to this video, and all the very best to all of you. Take very good care of yourselves. Thank you.